The room smelled like bleach and iron. My blood soaked through the sheets as doctors shouted orders over the flat line of machines. And while I hovered on the edge of nothingness, my parents were clinking glasses at my sister's gala. They told the neighbors later that I was overdramatic, that the emergency call I'd placed before surgery was an exaggeration, that their presence was needed elsewhere, where cameras flashed and champagne overflowed. I nearly died that night, and they didn't care. It wasn't the first time. Growing up, my sister was their sun. Everything revolved around her light. Ballet recitals, debate tournaments, the endless parties thrown in her name. Me? I was the shadow, the forgotten seat at the dinner table, the afterthought in family photos. I used to forgive it. I told myself they just didn't know better, that one day they'd see me, that one day I'd matter. But lying there, blood draining from my body, I understood the truth. They had seen me all along. They just didn't care. When I survived, I didn't rage. I didn't scream. I simply went silent. Silence is sharper than anger. It cuts deeper because it leaves nothing to grab onto. I withdrew, erased them one careful stroke at a time. First, the calls. I stopped answering. Then the visits. I moved apartments, changed addresses, left no trail. Finally, the accounts. Every joint tie, insurance, medical consent, banking access, I severed with the precision of a surgeon. I disappeared from their world, and they barely noticed. Not at first. The irony is, they only began to notice when they needed something. Because my silence didn't just remove me, it removed what I carried. Access, leverage, security. I had always been the one who filled out the paperwork, who handled the details, who remembered the things they forgot. My sister was the showpiece. I was the scaffolding. Invisible, but essential. They had forgotten that scaffolding holds the weight, until it was gone. Their unraveling came quietly. It started with an insurance claim, denied because I'd removed my signature as guarantor. Then a medical bill, thousands left unpaid because the account froze when I severed access. And then the real blow. My father's chest collapsed one morning in the driveway. Cardiac arrest. Neighbors called me, the hospital called me, even my sister called me, her voice trembling. And I let the phone ring. I pictured them in the waiting room, clutching forms they couldn't process, staff asking for next of kin authorization. The blank stare when my father's insurance bounced back incomplete. All because the overdramatic child had quietly removed herself from the chain they assumed would always bind her. My silence was louder than any scream I could have delivered. A week later, I received a letter. My mother's handwriting, sloppy, shaking. It didn't apologize. It begged. "We didn't know it was this serious. We thought you were fine. We need you. Please, we can't do this without you." I folded it neatly, slid it back into the envelope, tucked it into a drawer I never opened again. Because I wasn't overdramatic. I was invisible until they needed me. And now, they were the ones invisible to me. Here's the part they'll never say aloud. They built this fate with their own hands. They cut me out every time they chose my sister's spotlight over my survival. They hollowed me out until all I had left was silence. And silence is what I gave them back. People ask me if I regret it, if I ever feel guilt for letting them drown in their own neglect. The answer is simple: no. Because the night I bled out on that table, I learned the truth. Families aren't defined by blood. Blood spills. Blood drains. Blood can be ignored while champagne flows. Families are defined by who shows up when you're dying. And they didn't. When their emergency came, I had a choice: to rush back into the role they'd carved for me, or to let them taste the emptiness they had left me in. I chose silence. And that silence was my revenge. I don't hate them anymore. Hate requires energy, and I won't waste another drop. What I feel is colder, cleaner, relief. Because when my phone stays silent, I know I've finally severed the chain that once bound me to their indifference. They taught me I was disposable. Now they've learned I'm gone. And that lesson, unlike me, will never leave them.